In spiritual life, there are two very important aspects. The first is training the mind. The mind, unchecked, unhampered, there's a monkey mind. It goes everywhere. It thinks of a variety of circumstances and situations, and various thoughts run through the mind continually. In order to become aware of the spiritual nature of your own being, the immortal nature of your own being, there is an element of mental training to be able to focus the monkey mind and concentrate on the divinity. Through mental training, one learns to focus awareness back to the nature of self, back to the living consciousness, the living awareness. That is you. Beneath all of the variety of mental images and thoughts that come in the mind, there is a witnessing consciousness, a self. And when the consciousness can focus on the witness, on the self, rather than on the movements within the mind, then that consciousness begins to open to the nature of the God self, of the divine being within everything. And the nature of reality becomes known, understood. But the mind alone cannot bring you full realization, because the mind is a mental processing mechanism. It processes information and allows you to think and to act in this world. When it is quieted, your awareness can return to the nature of source, but that source cannot be fully comprehended by the mind. It is beyond the scope of mind. But still, it can be experienced directly. But that experience requires the other significant component of spiritual existence, and that is the heart. Your ability to feel, your capacity of emotion. When you move beyond the ordinary emotions, beyond the emotional ins and outs of life, the worries, the anxieties, the fears, the angers, the sorrows, the aching loves of your heart. When you move past these everyday emotions, there is another level to the heart, to emotional existence, and that is the level of the sattvic emotions. To be able to feel, directly experience love, to be able to move with the heart into that awareness, consciousness, knowingness that experiences all of life, to be able to move into that with your feelings, with your heart. Then your perception becomes more full, alive. It is no longer merely a matter of intellect. It affects your being, your core. When you point to yourself and say, I, you point to your heart. You don't point to your head. You point to your heart. It's natural. All human beings do this. Why? Because there is inherent knowledge that there is within your heart experience, the core of you. So when you bring your mind through mental training you bring your conscious awareness out of your everyday thoughts. They may still be going on in the background, like music in the background that you don't listen to while you're working. They would maybe be going on in the background, still doing what it always does. But your awareness comes to focus on the nature of self, on the awareness that is in your own being. That awareness does not change, does not move. But knowing it just from the mind is very cool. It's just knowing. Just consciousness, just being. But for it to gain dimension, for it to gain a more solid reality, for it to touch the core of you, it has to touch the heart. The heart needs to come forward. Training the heart is different than training the mind. The mind is a monkey mind. It goes everywhere. And it affects the feelings they follow those mental thoughts. When the thoughts no longer become the focus of attention, of awareness, but the calm nature of the witness becomes the focus of your awareness, the emotions can become very still. But if you go deep into the heart, into your passion, into your love, then that divinity, that consciousness at the core of everything and everyone, that unitary whole which becomes perceivable in the quietude, becomes alive. When the life of your life comes in contact with the larger life of all existence, then it is alive. It is alive in love, in truth, in the core of you. Because beneath the emotional flux that reacts to various thoughts in the mind, there is a deep sense of self, a feeling sense of self, a knowingness which is not simply the mind, which is the very core of yourself. And when the mind quieted in that witnessing consciousness comes in association with that core self, then the field opens, the field of being. Which is not simply a quietness. It is more than quiet. It is the core. It is the totality of self. And that totality resides in the heart. When your love opens and the whole passion of your being surrenders in absolute love, then that which opens has a depth, a vitality, a reality so profound, so vibrant, that this world is only a shadow of it. So it requires two aspects. The mind to be trained to quiet or disassociate from the background music of thoughts into awareness of witnessing consciousness. And that awareness simultaneously understood in the depths of love, in the depths of the heart, where the deepest passion of your essence, of your being, opens. And there, two become one. As long as you are still the witnessing consciousness, but you have not opened the heart, there is the witness and something to witness. But when the heart opens, and surrender in absolute love. The mind is frozen, and the waves of love consume the ego, and in deep, deep surrender, there is that which is beyond thought, beyond the mind, that which is vibrant beyond understanding. The training of the heart is the opening of love, the ability, the willingness to let go and to love, to trust. The willingness to find the passion for that which is the core and let it rule your life, surrendering to that. Heart and mind dissolve into one. The jnani follows the path of the mind to its quiet center, the witnessing self. But even the jnani cannot know the truth fully until the power of that consumes the heart, the self that you point to, in absolute, infinite love. The bhakti follows the path of the heart to the core of being. But in that passion, the mind is overcome. The mind is consumed by the passion. And the love goes beyond duality into wholeness. When both paths are followed together, they bring the power of understanding and the power of the true passion of the self, of the heart, together. And the realization of the eternal, infinite nature of being is awakened. Once that is touched, you are never the same. For you know inside of you that there is something more than this world, something more, something great. There is a love which knows no boundaries, a place where all unites. And there is only the one. This is the great blessing. The great truth. God is not out there. God is everywhere. But God is in the core of you, in the essence of your own being, in your aware consciousness, in the surrender of everything. The third wing, Karma Yoga, comes when you understand this and you recognize that the only one who acts in this world is the infinite Brahma. The only one who exists is the infinite Brahma, the infinite one, in all the colors of creation. Once you have touched that inner core, let the remembrance be with you. Take the time. Do the second lesson. Take the time to remember throughout the day. Let the mind be trained. Stay with the love of the heart. Until there is only that, and mind and heart surrender into the unitary whole. Are there questions?
Baba, most of our practice is us actually working on training the mind, purifying our subtle body. All lessons have that component. It seems the heart aspect of what we are talking is more through kirtanas, devotion, and thinking of that divine that we have relationship with. I'm trying to see how our lessons connect to what we are saying.
Through kirtan? But there is a natural connection. When you touch the infinite, you touch that infinite one comes towards you, and that relationship you have opens the heart. So that is why sixth lesson is there. That is why Guru Sakash, that is why they are there. So that you can feel your own personal relationship to the infinite. So it is very much in the practices. There is both training of the mind and cultivation of the relationship you have to the infinite in the practices. Do you see? So the relationship cultivation is the cultivating of the heart. The ideation, the training of the mind that comes through mantra and through visualization.